Welcome, everyone, to the Film Vault. That is Anderson. I'm Brian Benjamin, your hosts for today's top five scenes or movies set or shot or shot in Iceland. This topic has gone through quite the evolution, and I think we settled on scenes shot or set in Iceland. I think all of mine are both shot and set in Iceland. How about that? Anderson just returned from the land of the ice and snow.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
It's true.
Zeppelin.
That is a Led Zeppelin reference.
Mm-hmm.
But do you feel a special kinship to this top five?
Do I?
Having just been there.
Of course.
Oh, for frolicking amongst the locals.
Of course. Yes. It's one of those things where you feel like you have an idea of something, but you don't until you actually go.
I feel like I got pretty good at what it is all about.
Iceland?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, have you seen the Battle at Hoth?
Yeah, that's Iceland, right?
I really wanted that to be shot in Iceland, but it was not. Battle at Hoth was not. I forget where that was shot. Where was that shot? I just looked it up, too.
Oh, I actually have no idea. I have an interesting mix of movies, Anderson, on my list. I have at least one movie I do not like. One movie I saw and forgot almost instantly, and had to go back and remind myself, oh yeah, that was in Iceland. One film that's a giant cheat, and I hope you'll forgive me for that. And one movie that, I guess we'll wait and see.
Battle of Hoth was shot in Norway, which is up there. It's close. Iceland, for the longest time, was part of Denmark, actually. They didn't become their own nation.
How about that?
To 2019? Or,
no.
2019. I mean, 1919 or 1920.
The Vikings, right? Vikings own that shit.
I mean, no,
so
Norway
Denmark got it, right?
What do you mean?
I mean, that's why he was
Don't
roped
ask Anderson
into
fucking
him.
history of...
What do you mean?
Wasn't it Iceland? It was Viking land. So it was one of them. It was either the Danes or whoever.
Well, the Danes owned Iceland, or they and then it didn't become its own sovereign state until 1919 is what I'm saying. I don't know how the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings were all over all that shit.
But specifically the Danes, I think they were.
The Danes were
real dickheads.
Apparently, Iceland achieved sovereignty on December 1st, 1918.
1918.
So we're just passing the anniversary.
4 years. 4 years Passed. But
4 days. September 1st.
Oh, okay. I see. I don't. The Danes and the Iceland and the Vikings and there was a lot.
Swedes and the Danes don't like each other.
No,
big
of
rivals.
Course not. Yeah, of course.
Is that true?
Yeah, a lot of wars against each other.
Georgia and Alabama. The closer you are to something, the less you like them.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Look at us.
I was thinking the exact same thing, Barbara. Exact same thing.
And it is unpleasant.
All right, so a couple little fun facts as far as movies go. I came across a list, as one does when doing research, on a Wikipedia page, something called Wikipedia, where it has a list.
Oh.
Which, Wikipedia has got its ups and downs, but it seems like a lot of the time these lists that I find in doing this research are fairly accurate. And it had a fairly short list of all of the films ever shot there in Iceland. The oldest film goes back to where is it? Hold the film. Something called Sons of the Soil.
You haven't seen that?
First film to ever be shot there, and it was just 2 years after they became a sovereign nation in 1920.
That's a hipster pack.
And it's not on my
number
list.
5.
But many things that continue to be shot there today, and it really had, as my list will reflect, it was almost like every director and studio had to get their hands on some Icelandic scenery in the mid-aughts or what do you call it? The mid-10s, which is where a lot of my movies land. 2010s, yeah, the mid-2010s. And that's where almost all of my movies land. But a lot of things are still shot there. In fact, I was talking to a guy in Reykjavik who owns a fantastic little coffee shop.
Give him a plug.
I don't know the name of it. I really don't. We just kind of stumbled in there.
Hot Carl.
It was so cool.
How many Icelandic listeners do we have?
At least one, because he listened after
disaster. I heard about this. Yeah.
And he was giving me all sorts of tips, which many of which I used. So that was fantastic. So I was talking to this coffee shop owner. It's got an upstairs, a downstairs. He couldn't have been nicer. Like, he saw Jelena, Atticus, and I go in, and it was packed. And we started leaving. And he came out. He's like, "Hey, we got a bunch of seating upstairs." And it was like one of those old, like
nice.
coffee houses were kind of a big thing out here in LA, like in the '90s, where like it was like a living room, right? Like and you would just sit and like enjoy yourself. And
by
they
the
had,
fireplace, pick out a book from the wall.
Yeah, it was like one of those type places. And I ended up talking to the guy. We went upstairs and they got some croissants or something, and I got nothing. I got a coffee, and I was talking to the owner, and he moved out from Van Nuys. He lived in Van Nuys.
Oh, really?
Before that, he grew up in Long Island, and he moved out to Van Nuys to get away from the cold.
He's a traveled man. He went to Iceland.
I know, and then he found himself in Iceland because he was with a guy, and they were essentially married, but the law didn't recognize it, and his husband didn't have a visa, was running out, so the only way they could stay together was to move to Iceland together. And I don't know what happened
That's commitment,
to the husband, but it seemed like he wasn't. Everything's kind of. It was tragic though when I was talking to this guy. He was probably my age, maybe a little bit older, and I knew he was gay. I could tell. And also there were
when he mentioned his husband.
When he mentioned his husband, but there's like a bunch of like a lot of stuff going on in this little 2-story coffee house. It's like one of those places that used to be. It's a restaurant, but it used to be like a house. Like actually, you could tell it was a house. And it's in downtown Reykjavik.
You know, there's a restaurant here in LA. Used to be Charlie Chaplin's house.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's kind of cool.
It's right there at Wilshire and La Brea.
Well, that's right where his studios were.
Yeah, it was his house. His complex, basically. It's fucking the French place. Oh, okay, go ahead.
French Laundry.
No, but it is much more casual. It's like French breakfast and brunch and lunch.
So those places, like, it's almost like a
Petit Tour,
like a vintage store. A vintage store with a bunch of old toys. It has like it's a great. The aesthetic is really really interesting and fun. This restaurant, the coffee house, and you know there's one picture of two men like kissing like out in front of their house, and so I noticed that, and it seemed like very gay friendly. And then I'm meeting the owner, I'm talking to the owner, and I knew he was gay, but I could tell like he was telling me his life story kind of and like how he wound up in Iceland. And I could sense, and I just fucking hate when this happens, and it's just heartbreaking.
He wanted to suck your dick.
I could tell that he was having like he was leading up to like what brought him there, and how he was like, stop looking at Avery laughing at your dumb joke. Stop it. Look at you.
Okay.
It was so quick.
And I can tell that he gets like he's uncomfortable, and he's kind of like we're making eye contact, and then he looks away as he says my husband, and I could tell he was just uncomfortable, and he it's almost like he thinks it's okay, but you never know what kind of reaction
as though he was talking to someone who maybe would be opposed to that lifestyle.
Right, exactly.
Either the snake tattoo.
Because of he saw nothing because I had like 6 layers on. Because of maybe my religious beliefs, or because I'm just uninformed, stupid, ignorant, fucking homophobe or something. And I could feel like his tentativeness to say it, and it's heartbreaking that he's that people have to deal with that kind of level of hate in this fucking world. It's so upsetting. He's that old. He's probably mid-50s, late 50s maybe, and he's still at a point where he's just talking to another guy in his restaurant, and he has to kind of like get uncomfortable when he just talks about something that's just part of his life.
That's heartbreaking.
It sucks. But anyways, I would
fuck
like
that
to,
guy.
I'd like to. No, that's not the point.
No, literally. If you're out there and you're listening.
Christ. I think he's might be married. I don't know if the boyfriend's gone or husband's gone. I don't know. But what was the point of that whole fucking story? It was.
What was the point?
What was the point?
We were talking about coffee shop, 2
Things
stories.
filmed there.
Coffee shop, 2 stories.
So he was telling me about what's being shot there right now. Oh, I met a location scout as well.
Really?
At this little farm like out in the middle of nowhere, and he's a location scout in Iceland. And both of them told me that True Detective is shooting there right now.
I heard this, yes.
Yeah, True Detective is shooting in Reykjavik because they got studios in Reykjavik, and a lot of American productions go there to shoot double like Alaska. So that's what True Detective's doing.
Is that easier than going to Alaska?
I guess because they got the studios and this, there's actual like production. Okay. Yeah, there's infrastructure. There's not
maybe
in
the
Iceland.
tax incentives
in
too.
Alaska, maybe. I don't know if there's tax incentives in Iceland. It might be. Who knows? I don't know.
Charge them tax.
But it's interesting. It's interesting. So yeah, True Detective is shooting there. I think season 3 or 4. I don't know. I stopped watching that show.
3 was great.
I heard 2 was tough.
2 was wieners.
I don't know where to go with this.
So how do we do this? You want to just begin? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if it's going to.
We usually go 5 to 1.
Be self-indulgent, or if it'll be interesting to people who aren't familiar with the old. Everyone's heard of Iceland. Many people like me before I went mainly knew about them having very beautiful hockey players who were mean to the Mighty Ducks.
Is that true?
D2, yeah. The enemy is Iceland. Even though they didn't really care much for hockey. I can tell you that.
Are there famous NHL players who have hailed from Iceland?
I don't think there's one. Not a
Just
single
one.
I don't know. I don't think there's a single one. No.
Wow, I am very surprised.
I didn't see a hockey rink. I know they have one over there, but I never saw one. And hockey is not really a part of sports are really not. I was in a restaurant, and the place was pretty much empty. And Jillian and Atticus and I were enjoying ourselves. It was down by Hof, which is close to Hoffen. We were staying at the Viking Cafe that night. The owner showed us to our room. He was another beautiful, sweet man. This is the place where out in front of the Viking Cafe is the name of the hotel. When I went back the second time after we checked in, it was dark and raining. But I noticed it took me 2 times to be there before I noticed the sperm whale bones.
Oh my, those are probably large.
Entire sperm whale skeleton.
Hey, you somehow missed those?
And yeah, that's how much stuff was going on in front of the Viking Cafe. So I talked to the owner. I'm like, how'd it get there? And he said it's only been there for 5 years, and he pulled it up from the ocean. I guess he just got a tractor, and it beached. It was dead, washed up. Also saw
and he's allowed it to decay.
Sperm whale's penis. I also saw that.
Oh yes, the final member.
Yeah, so I went to the phallic museum in Iceland. I have pictures of Atticus standing in front of an elephant.
I would like to see that.
Elephant's dick. It's interesting.
Go on.
But yeah, so that was
there must have been a lot of daddy.
No, there was an armadillo in there. Like, there's nothing but dicks, right? Just because if you've seen The Final Member, which is a great documentary.
Kind of like the menu.
I want to know.
Nothing but dicks.
The menu. Nothing but dicks at that restaurant. Where the hell was I? I'm all over the place. I guess I can show you the picture. And if you're watching,
I don't want to see anything.
You don't want to see? I think you do. I feel like you probably do.
Show me the dicks.
Yeah. So if you've seen The Final Member, it's a great documentary that we've been talking about for years, right?
That's true.
On this program, when we discovered, I think a listener turned me onto it, and it's all about the Phallic Museum in Iceland, which is the only known museum that has nothing but dicks on display.
Dedicated to dick.
One man who just started collecting animal dicks, and then he ran with it, and now it's actually like a real life museum. It's all kind of like, I don't want to say bougie, but it's the real deal. It's not just like a little
spotlights and encasements.
Yeah, what you'd expect, and they do have the human dick in there. That was the point of the whole documentary.
I can do without. The one dick I'm comfortable with.
It's not a normal looking dick either. I can tell you that. It is unnormal.
Is it other curiosities?
But yeah, there was. What you learn in that documentary, you learn a lot of things, but you also learn that most animals have bones in their dick.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of just bones, on display as dicks.
Interesting.
And then there's also not bones like this, which is the elephant dong. And that's Atticus standing by.
He's unimpressed by the size of the dong.
You know why? Because he's looking to the right. You can see see how he's looking over the right. Because it's nothing but dicks in this museum, except there is one armadillo, which is the whole armadillo's on display, and his little wiener is out. So, and he was just so confused by that. I guess, why is there an armadillo, Dad? Why? I'm like, I don't fucking know, dude. There's a human dick there. There's the human. So that's the human dick. You don't want to see that for very long, do you?
Oh man,
you don't want to see that.
What am I looking at?
It's a human dick.
Is it inside?
It's inside. Yeah, it looks more like a vagina.
Oh my god.
And then there's a lot of
like a pile of poo.
A lot of scrotum lights. They take the scrotums of large animals and they turn them into lights, chandeliers.
Oh, that's troubling.
That was on my gift guide, which I never got to.
I forget what the point of this was. That's to let you know that it's a boys' restroom. It's the penis. The girls' restroom actually has a wiener handle, so the women have to put their.
Did you drink these dick beers that I'm seeing?
No, they had dick beers there. I didn't spend much time in the cafe. Oh yeah, Moby Dick is the beer.
Phallic lager and the dick handle pulls.
Oh, okay, yeah, I don't need that.
So yeah, we're in this. All that aside, that's in Reykjavik. So we're out by Hof, and we go into this restaurant in town, and the whole restaurant's fairly empty, and we're having this nice quiet little meal, and all of a sudden these 2 Americans come and they sit at the table right next to us, and
Authentic.
I'm like, really, yeah.
Authentic experience.
They had the TV put on and they put the World Cup on, so they're now enjoying the World Cup fairly loudly right next to us.
The USA game?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
And I get talking to the girl, Jillian, and Atticus leave, and I'm paying up, and I say, where are you from? And why are you so invested? She's like, I don't even like soccer. I just miss team sports, and they don't care about team sports over here at all. I'm like,
Okay.
they don't? She's like, no, this is like I barely get the World Cup. She's like, I just want to watch some team sports. I'm like, okay, all right.
Wow, into it. Into the lifestyle.
And she let me know that Iceland doesn't care about team sports, so
They're
I'll
all
take your
in-
word for it.
tennis and golf.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe they don't have enough people to make teams. I don't know.
That's a really good point. How ubiquitous is English over there? Everyone speaks it?
Pretty much, yeah, for the most part.
That's nice.
Except for like the old school guys, like the guy that owned the Viking Cafe. He didn't speak
Really?
much English at all. But for the most part, yeah, everyone speaks English everywhere. It's embarrassing. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
It's catering does.
It's catering to the crown, really. It goes back to
Oh,
that, I
interesting.
think.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Brits. All the
Yeah.
stuff for English over there is British flag.
That makes sense.
But Iceland was never owned by the Brits.
Really?
Yeah.
They think proximity-wise it would be.
I guess they didn't. But the U.S. did have a stronghold for a while over there.
Really?
They have radar.
Like a military base or something?
Yeah, military base, and
That's unusual, though. Military bases everywhere.
it was mainly for World War II, and they saw it as a strategic place to put up radar
course,
and
yeah.
to see if anything was incoming. And the radar base is still there. It was right by this Viking Cafe place that I drove out to the Spit and at the end, and it's still there. It's just it's non-functioning. Pretty cool though. Pretty cool stuff. All right, so
All right.
let's get to our list, and I'll tell you a little bit about all the places that are on my top 5, and maybe some of yours as well.
Huh?
This
How
will
much
be good.
crossover? There's not that many. There's
There
not
might be
that
a couple.
many.
There's not that many. So yeah, I would imagine we're gonna have some crossover. And I was at most all of these places, but for one, and I think I drove right by it. But like sometimes it's just so not even nighttime. It's just so overcast and raining, and you can't even like just stopping at the place that you were planning on stopping at. You're just like, no, we're not gonna do that. We don't have it in us.
I do have one huge cheat that's going to enrage you.
I can't
and
wait.
I'm hoping that we'll blow by it pretty quickly.
You want to start with your number 5?
How many James Bond movies do you have?
1.
Oh, shit.
You have a bunch?
No, but I have one.
You want to start with that one because that's my number 5.
That's number 4. I can switch them.
Why don't you switch them real quick? Or why don't you do your number 5, and then I'll do my number 5, and
And
you
we'll
can roll into your
piggyback.
4. Yeah.
All right. Number 5 for me is a film I don't remember enjoying all that much. However, the opening scene, which I did enjoy, is shot and I believe set in the Icelandic village of, actually filmed on location. Oh God, in DJU, so Djupavik.
I'll buy it.
That's in the West Fjords of Iceland. I don't know if you made it out there, Anderson, but talking about Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Icelandic village where Bruce Wayne attempts to recruit Aquaman was actually filmed on location. And when the film was shown here's a fun fact. When the film was shown in Iceland, which uses subtitles rather than dub, which, questionable decision, Jason Momoa has a line in Icelandic, the pronunciation of which is so unintelligible and so bad that they actually had to subtitle the Icelandic line into Icelandic. That's how bad it was. And apparently often resulting in a big laugh by the Icelandic audience. So Jason Momoa attempted a Icelandic verse and didn't go well.
You see any of that new kids movie he's in? The sleeping, the what's it called? Sleep. What's it?
I don't think I did.
Netflix movie. Him and a little girl.
No.
He's essentially doing Beetlejuice.
Oh no, I've not
bizarre.
seen that. I've not seen that.
What is the name of this fjord?
No, the West Fjords
I
is
know.
the
How do
name
you
of the
spell that?
territory.
What's the name of the town?
Djupavik, DJU Pavik.
Pavik. All right, yeah, I want to see. I think it's that one peninsula that I did not hit.
It's water. Obviously, it's on the coast, so you would know you're probably there. Djupavik.
Yeah, it's the west. Yeah, it's very far out there. It's the one big chunk that we did not see any of. We did the circle. You see the circle here, Avery?
Mhm.
We missed this part way out here. Unfortunate.
Racist.
I don't know how that's racist.
I don't know.
It's very odd that you would
Throw it out there.
go there. All right, number 5 for me is my oldest film on the list by far and away. It's 1985 is when A View to a Kill was released.
I have a different James Bond movie.
And I'm going with the opening scene in
Okay.
Hoffen, which is
You just like this because of Duran Duran.
no, I did not like this movie. I remember being let down by
It's
this
actually pretty
movie as
bad.
a little boy
It's
when
actually-
I went
Which
to
one
see
is
it.
this?
This is one of this
Christopher
one
Walken.
of, if not the last Roger Moore film.
Oh, I don't think I've
So this is
seen
the opening scene in A View to a Kill. And,
Oh, he's skiing and it's very bad.
it's skiing. He's snowboarding actually.
Oh, really? I
He's
forgot
doing
about that.
hip snowboard moves.
Yeah,
and
it's very
Oh,
bad.
It's
God.
85. So
I think they're using
snowboarding.
a stunt double.
So it's
He's fucking 70 years old at this point.
So all these Russians, I guess
shredding.
it's supposed to be Russia, I guess, because there are a bunch of Russians as I could gather on snowmobiles, and they're all skiing, and he fashions something that falls his way after a skirmish, and he lands. And this is shot in Hoffen, which is Hoffen and Hof. They're right next to each other. Is part of this giant glacier that takes up 10% of the entire
Oh, shit.
landmass. It's huge,
Really?
and a lot of there's no skiing there. They got one ski resort, and that's way up north in Akiri. But this giant glacier, like there are slopes and ways that you would be able to ski in and around it because it's this giant landmass. It's just covered in ice. So that's where they shot this scene, and yeah, he's fighting. There's bombs, and he's on a snowmobile at one point, and then some shots are fired from a helicopter, and then of course he jumps off of it just in time before it explodes.
Right.
Explodes very largely.
This is considered one of the worst James Bond movies and scenes.
And I think it's either a piece of that snowmobile that just exploded, or something that resembles a snowboard falls to him. And you have to imagine, 85 snowboarding was not really known as a thing.
Yeah, probably a fringe activity.
So I think that he kind of like disappears. You don't know where he is. You see the Russians on their little skis with their rifles, and then all of a sudden he appears snowboarding. And what's the song? It's all like James Bond music and like shooting and what. And then what's the song that starts playing as he's snowboarding?
Actually, I don't remember that.
He does this.
Is it the Duran Duran song?
It's this. He does this really sweet move. I think it's the reveal to show that he's now on this weird little board, and he goes up this lip, and he takes out two Russians with the back of his board. He does like a sick like twist.
They have machine guns?
Yeah. Takes them out, and then he comes down, and now he's just snowboarding down the glacier essentially with
Jump into the fire.
Worse. I wish they all could be California girls.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
My
That's right.
God.
So
Yeah, this was
so bad.
this was a real bottom for the series.
So then he's scooting down. He's just scooting down, right? And then he comes. It's actually kind of some cool stunts. The things that they did on the side of like these just sheer like snowy cliffs, pretty impressive to be honest. But then so Roger Moore. I like you said. I don't think maybe it was a body double, a stunt double, but it's probably him.
There's no proof.
So he's coming down, and then he goes to this lake at the bottom. And guys, it has to be so fucking cold. But this dude, he skims across. Like so, he comes down the snow, and then he skims across the lake.
Wakeboarding.
And the two poor Russians who are on these like old timey skis, they just go right in. Like, it's like pratfalls, and it's like Benny Hill. It's absurd that this is where they took this.
I know you don't care
franchise.
about this, but there are people who love the Roger Moore movies because they are silly, because they like have a sense of humor. And for me, this is the extreme example, of course, but I never enjoyed the silliness or the wink or the California girl, all that shit. That was like, all right, fuck.
Yeah, my buddy's like that. His favorite Bond is Moore, and I hate him.
No, it's my least.
I think it's a
That's kind of how
ridiculous.
That was my introduction to James Bond, and then I'm like, oh, they're trying to be serious too. No, I'm out. I'm done. What is that?
So you like the silliness.
No, I don't like
You
either.
loved the silliness.
Well, if you're introduced to the silliness and then you're like, there's a serious
And then
version
you're
of this
pulling
too,
it back.
it's like, it's too late. It's too late. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a nice way to segue my number 4, which is the fourth and final film of the Pierce Brosnan era, Die Another Day. Die Another Day, 2002 film. There is a scene that takes place in Iceland, shot in Iceland, shot like you said in Hoffen, Iceland is right there. I watched this scene again because it is so ridiculous. Pierce Brosnan attempts to infiltrate. Okay, first of all,
This is the Ice Palace
this
one?
is the Ice Palace. This is Halle Berry as Jinx being held captive in a giant fortress of ice. Now, I've never built a fortress. I never was the architect behind the fortress.
No.
I would imagine ice is one of the last materials I would use if given the opportunity to build a fortress. I feel flimsy at best.
I mean, if you're surrounded with nothing but ice,
I
and
understand
snow,
the
I think
opportunity
ice would probably
cost.
be the better of the two.
I understand the opportunity cost. The ice is everywhere. I might as well use it. That said, Mr. Bond, played by Pierce Brosnan, has no trouble destroying this ice palace because he has a Aston Martin that's actually turned invisible.
Oh, that's
yes,
cool.
It turns invisible, and he can control it with a remote control that is the size of a thumb drive.
Do they get into how it's invisible at all, or is it just invisible?
No, it has an invisibility
Cloaking device.
Function, which he activates. And unfortunately, one of the henchmen happens to be snowmobiling right by there at the exact same time. And once you know it, crashes into the car, launches himself. At that point, the ruse is up, and the henchman, who happens to be hanging out, realizes that Mr. Bond is trying to infiltrate our ice palace. He being the henchman, gets into his convertible Jaguar. I would argue that a convertible Jaguar in the Iceland, in the snow ice palace, is a huge tactical mistake. You open yourself up to any number of elements. Snow, of course, being the worst and most plentiful. However, they engage in a chase. At one point, Bond's car gets flipped, and he gets it back off the ice, flipped. He uses the ejector seat to flip it back. And then they continue the chase. And yes, at one point,
that's MacGyver shit right there.
That's right. Well, it's actually the opposite because MacGyver would use like a toothpick and a
no, but he uses what he's got. What he's got.
I guess in that spirit, you're right. You're absolutely correct. The sunroof I mentioned, the eject button, and
what's this have to do with Iceland again?
It's in Iceland. Shot in Hoffen.
Okay.
Set in Hoffen.
Yeah, I wonder if they went back the back spot, the same spot. Hoffen's very small.
And he uses his car to break into the little room where Jinx is being drowned.
One more fun fact about Hoffen is right there at the Viking Cafe, this farmer, he owns all of the property around it, including the old military radar base, that
the
real
infrastructure
that built the road that goes out into the sea, essentially. It's almost like marshy wetlands where the sperm whale washed up, and then there's like this base where, going back to the 40s, Americans were there, and they never interacted with the Icelanders, except for on Christmas. They'd let the Icelanders come and give the kids a present. It was weird history. But somebody back in like 2012 decided to build an entire Viking village on this property. And it was almost like one of those things. I can't get confirmation if it was a production that was being set to be shot or if it was just build it and they will come. And
like a Solvang kind of.
Yeah.
It's an authentic Viking village up against the incredible like steep mountains that gave it shelter. That's why they chose that spot to put their radar. And you can go there. You can, for a fee, or if you're staying at the hotel, you can, it's included. You can just walk. It's like a 15-minute walk, and then you're just in this little Viking village, and it's all authentic to the way it used to be, except it's all dilapidated, falling apart because nothing was ever shot there. But then I guess something was going to be shot there like a year ago. I couldn't get confirmation if it actually was. But it's a little touristy thing to do if you're way out there now, because Hoffen's pretty far off the beaten path. And that's fun. The Viking village. Yes.
Number 4 for you.
Number 4 for me, Bremer.
We had different James Bond movies.
Yeah, I saw that there was another one. And I'm like, I'm not doing that one because I've never seen that one. So.
It's a more substantial scene. It's a better scene, but both bad movies. Bottom half James Bond films.
Number 4 for me is a movie that you do not like, and you're not alone. Many people do not like Noah. I am one of the few that actually really, really enjoyed Noah quite a bit. And it's one of those things where in doing the research for this, was watching the making of Noah, which I've never found myself doing.
Really?
And they
built
studied that Bible, and they got the actual dimensions. They didn't build the whole boat, but they built like a third of the boat, and then they digitally, filled out the rest. But they built that fucker with actual raw materials, and they built it the way that it was described in the Bible, which is just square, like not. Like it's just
like
a big
raft,
square,
like a gigantic raft,
like a giant cube, just because it was meant not to sail or to direct, just to float.
Flood,
just to survive the. So I'm watching this making of video. It's just the amount of effort and work and ingenuity. And Darren Aronofsky's like,
did it depress you?
It did. That then it comes out and it's just kind of like cast aside and written off as kind of silly. And I rewatched so many of the rock monster scenes, which is what pays my dues for the movie. Like makes me really, really go to bat for. Have you seen Noah?
I have not seen Noah.
It
Is
comes
it
off-
streaming anywhere.
It
I'd
comes
watch
off
Noah.
as a
It's
streaming.
silly like religious movie starring
It's a
Russell
real
Crowe.
epic.
But it's Aronofsky, and Aronofsky's not just doing any kind of silly Bible movie. There's also a scene in there that's completely forgotten involving evolution, and I don't know if you remember that, but it's like something to withhold, like where like this like little thing slithers out of like it shows like things morphing in like time lapse under the sea, and then like turns into a lizard and it comes
I don't
out
know
and it's
that at
all
all.
time lapse. I forgot about it, but watching the scenes and this clips from this movie again this last week, it's something to behold, and then it just keeps going until it becomes like a human. Like
It
fucking
is.
fantastic.
It is streaming.
Where's it
Amazon
streaming?
Prime.
God.
Nick
My-
Nolte plays the voice of one of the rock monsters, and the rock monster battle sequences, and just the rock monsters in general. Nick Nolte voicing the one rock monster who, they came here as the lore goes. They came to Earth to help the humans, and then the humans were fucking dicks to them because they're humans, and then the humans are dicks to them again, and then they help Noah get to the boat. I mean, it takes a real departure from. I don't think that shit's in the Bible. I could be wrong. I never read it.
I haven't read it in a while.
I don't know if rock monsters are part of the Bible and helping Noah get his people on the boat, because all these other hordes of people coming trying to get on the when they realize the floods are real. All the selfish fucks. It's like a little red hun, right?
Where
They,
does- where
they
does
didn't want to
Ice-
help make the boat, but now it's time and they
Went
want to be
on.
on the boat. Yeah, and Noah's like, no, you didn't help me mill the wheat, so you get no bread. And the rock monster's like, fuck you, humans. Oh, it's so satisfying. It's like everything Transformers could be if the Transformers actually just took out large swaths of humans.
What does that have to do with Iceland?
It was all shot on Black Sand
Oh,
Beach,
okay.
which is one of the most dangerous places in Iceland, probably.
Why?
People get swept up by the surf all the
Really?
time because they got these rogue waves that kind of come out of nowhere, and it's breathtaking. And love makes you do weird things. I got a new drone, not a real expensive drone, but more expensive than I would like to spend. I need it for my business, and Jillian was excited about bringing it to Iceland. And we're staying at this place in Vik, which is South Iceland, where the Black Sand Beach is. And it's very windy. And I did not get a chance to test out this new drone before we left because of the wind in my own town. So I literally didn't have time in the last 3 days once I got the drone before we left because of the wind. And she's begging me to take the drone up in this.
In the place where they tell you not to open your car door?
Yeah. And I put the drone up.
In a hurricane.
And the drone immediately just, like you would think that.
We.
It was like enduring love. Anderson's
'Cause it's-
chasing after the drone.
It was. I chased. I have no idea how I got this fucker back. I have
You
no
got it
idea. I
back?
got it back. He went up about maybe 20 feet and just zip. And Jillian's like, what's happening? You doing that? I'm like, it's the fucking wind. I told you, honey. And I'm just sprinting. Attica's going, what's happening, Daddy? But I got, so touch and go. And I was so
It's the
nervous. It was over these
wind.
giant cliffs. And I was like getting it to come back to me. And then it would get sucked back out. Yeah, so people get sucked out by the ocean down here in Black Sand. And like it's, the rock monsters are actually made from, in the story, the actual lava rocks that make up the land. Because you've never been to the Big Island in Hawaii, right?
I've not.
So Iceland is a lot like frozen Big Island.
Okay.
It's
All right.
because it's got all the rocky volcanic
Yeah, yeah.
features. Because it's all,
There's other beaches that have that in Hawaii I've seen. Yeah,
but
the black sand.
it's
beach.
not. Not even just the beaches, but like all over Iceland, it's just big rocky lava fields, like black lava fields. That's most of it, and then some of it's insane how it happens too. Like in one of our tours, the guy was tour guy was explaining that it just takes about 10 years of bird shit to soil it, and
Really?
then things start growing on top of it,
Huh?
and it's all bird poop. Like everything that we touch is poop. Everything.
There you go.
It's so depressing.
Circle of life, man.
It's worse than that.
It is.
Everything, pretty much everything we touch has been eaten and pooped out by something somewhere in the last billion years.
That's the circle of life.
Horrific.
And the water, 94% of it is dinosaur pee.
All right.
I don't think
That is true.
94%.
94% has been peed out by dinosaurs.
I drank some water off the glacier, and it was 1,000-year-old water.
Really?
Yeah.
Did it taste 1,000 years old?
And it's like the newest glacier water you can find on Earth,
Oh,
too.
did
Like,
Sydney pee?
there's other. Did Sydney peed? Aw.
Anderson, Sydney has peed in our house
Uh-huh.
3 dozen times.
Really?
Our house is festooned in your dog's piss.
Well, the first week that I moved into my new house, I had your dog, and he pooped and peed all over the house.
I doubt that's true.
That's 100% true.
Yeah, you got a lot of mouth.
Sydney.
Children, stop fighting.
You got a lot of mouth.
I do let your dog out.
Obviously not.
Watch out, there's pee right here too.
Okay, well, there you go.
Oh, man, Sydney. Yeah, there may be something wrong. And then she'll go for weeks where she doesn't pee in the house at all, and then she'll start peeing.
We couldn't have had one of those weeks.
I'm sorry, buddy.
It was a delight watching your dog pee.
Your wife said, please leave Sydney with us anytime.
Hey, your dog is a wonderful, sweet, quiet little dog. She pees everywhere.
She didn't used to. Because she's 17 years old, I think. Maybe that's why. Maybe you know what? I'll put her down for you.
Oh, thank you. That's what I was getting at. I didn't want to say it, be a jerk.
I mean, I'm just gonna put her down. I'm not gonna kill her.
Put her to bed.
Yeah. No, I'm just gonna say you're a bad dog.
Oh, I see.
You're a pisser. Why would you do
put her
that?
down. Put downs.
Yeah, I'm just gonna give her some put downs. I'm not gonna actually kill her.
I've been told that I really hit my K's, like in New York.
Yeah, we've talked about that on this program. I'm sorry. You can just stretch her.
She was more upset about the K's.
Stretch your back out.
Number 3 for me, I'll just be quick here. The Iron Giant from 1999, directed by Brad Bird.
What?
Spoiler alert.
Is this where I'm mad?
Spoiler alert.
I am.
What the fuck? He's doing a cartoon.
Spoiler alert for the Iron Giant. Fast forward a little bit. But the final scene in the film, the denouement, the coda, the epilogue.
The wink.
That's right. Yes, actually.
From Enduring Love.
Actually, not that far off, because the Iron Giant has been obliterated. He has fallen to pieces in Iceland. And we go to Iceland. It lets us know. Hold on, I've written down right here. It lets title card tells us we're on the Langjökull, and I actually looked it up to make sure it was real, and it is. It's a glacier, the Langjökull glacier in Iceland. The Iron Giant has just been blown to pieces, and yet we see various body parts. We see a leg hopping. We see gears turning, all going in the same direction. Where are they going? They're all going to the Iron Giant's head, which is in the snow. And as they get there, as the foot gets there, as the gears get there, as everything gets there, eyes light up. He's alive! When do we get another Iron Giant? I need another Iron Giant in my life.
Vin Diesel's best performance?
I feel like
by far.
Betamax.
Well, Big
Baymax.
Hero 6?
Yeah.
Baymax.
Baymax. I corrected myself. I didn't need this double correction.
Baymax.
Baymax.
There's no A in there. You're entering an A or there's no A.
BMX. Boamax.
You're getting farther away.
Boam. I'm doing all the vowels. Baymax.
Boomax.
Hey, I would like to take a quick little break here. And
We're not doing your number 3?
talk about a couple. Did Brian just do 3?
I did.
Yeah. All right, I'll do 3, and then I want to talk about a couple things that were sent to us that are worth talking about. Number 3 for me is a movie that let me down big. I was so excited about this.
Is this the same movie I have for number 2?
Land Ho?
No.
No, that's not a movie you've heard of, I don't think. Land Ho, when it was first pitched to me via trailer, like most movies are pitched to all of us, I was ecstatic on the idea of this wonderful, sweet, beautiful little movie about 2 old guys who have lost their wives, and they're on the back 9, pretty much like approaching the 18th hole. And one of them, who is the big American, decides to buy himself and his best friend first class tickets to Iceland.
All right.
To see the beautiful women and the beautiful landscapes and to kind of have a last hurrah type thing, right? And it's shot almost documentary style. If you were to watch the trailer for this, you would think that this may be a documentary. It's one of those movies that's hard to tell because it's so like improvised, and it looked delightful. And when I went to see it, I was kind of bored stiff.
Oh.
I saw it in the theaters.
It's only 95 minutes.
However, a lot of people love this movie. So maybe it's just it didn't quite hit the things that I look for in movies like this, but it worked for a lot of people. So don't just take it from me. Maybe you will like it. And I'll probably like it. I guess it must be good.
82%. Certified fresh.
I probably like it more now because in watching the trailer again, I so many of these locations I am very, very familiar with, obviously. But the one that and I watched the anatomy of the scene, how they shot it too, which was really interesting because it's a geyser shot. That's
Speaking of geyser, your dog's pissing on my floor right now.
It's the it's the Stroker geyser, if you must know. And fun fact: the original geyser is just called geyser, right? And that's where the term geyser comes from.
Oh, really?
It was all kind of named after the original geyser here in Iceland. and all the geysers that you got over Yellowstone, which is also very akin to Iceland. The smell of sulfur and the geothermal events occurring all over the place. Yellowstone, another fantastic place that everyone should visit. So Landho at the geyser scene at Stoker Geyser, which Atticus, Jillian, and I went to, and we saw in person. And it's interesting because the actual geyser, which is right around the corner, doesn't really go off anymore, right? It used to go off quite a bit, but now it doesn't. These things, they're always in motion and in flux and in fluid because it's the earth underneath and bubbling up and magma and channels and tubes and everything changes all the time. So as you'd imagine, that one geyser that's going off, you can set your clock to it 1 year, maybe is not 10 years from now. So now it's the Stroker geyser, which goes off about every 15 minutes or so. So we got there, we waited, and we got to see it, and it wasn't very impressive that day that we saw it, but some days it really shoots up. It did in this movie Land Ho. There's this great scene where the two old guys are standing there, and they're waiting for it to go off, and the camera's actually on a dolly, and it's pushing in slowly, and they're waiting for it, hoping that they get it. Can't imagine how long that took to actually get it. And then it goes off. It's pretty impressive, too, and they swish pan up, like a violent tilt pan up to catch it. And it's one of those scenes where, like, they had those poor old guys out there for so long trying to get that shot, and they got it. And I think they used it as the capper in the trailer, if you watch the trailer. So, yeah, Land Ho, 2014 film, which some people listening to this would absolutely love, and maybe you haven't heard of it. It just didn't quite land with me.
I get it.
Do you? That's Land Ho, 2014.
What was sent to us?
The Stroker geyser scene. So, okay, Brian, while you were shirking your responsibilities
By
the program, and in particularly the episode that Avery and I did, which was the
Is this where I almost died and you tried to replace me?
gift covers gift. How I can never do gift lovers. The film lovers gift guide.
Okay.
Annual film lovers gift guide. One of my picks on the list. This happens.
You have no idea what's coming.
Sure, I'm blind
I
here.
don't think it has anything.
I see a box.
One of my picks, and this is not the first time this has happened. Of course, it happened with Tim Judd way back in the day when I had one of his beautiful projector lamps on my list.
Is that old cool now?
I think last year was the old cool now. Last year was the movie palette where you see every single shot of the movie is represented. You have one of those now, Avery, and they reached out to us. And this year, it was
the home theater system.
The home theater. No, it was Brian Draws Movies, and I had this. You probably didn't even bother to listen to the episode that you
I was
missed.
dying.
Yeah. Well, you're not anymore. So,
You weren't thinking of us in your final.
I wasn't. No.
So
weird.
It was Brian Draws Movies, and I think I found them on Etsy. I do deep dives, just trying to find things that would speak to our audience, and he actually pencil draws these really, really cool things, and then has them put onto mugs.
Really?
And here's the one that I actually talked about that I liked so much, and he heard that we had talked about it on the program, and he reached out to us, and he said, I would like to send you one. So it's polka dot.
That's Dalsmalchian.
Dalsmalchian, yes. Yeah. And Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad.
Okay, I got the email out of context. I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Yes. So he sent us two. One for Avery, one for me.
Oh, how nice. Yeah. Enjoy those, you guys.
No, I picked this one for you.
You picked one for me?
Yes.
You did not.
Tell me how I did. Yeah, I did.
Is this a get well soon?
Yes, it is.
Well, look at this shit.
Well, he's well, so I feel like he shouldn't.
So it works.
Get unwell soon.
Okay.
So this is just where we give thanks back for somebody thanking us for thanking them for their good work. So this is Brian Draws Movies, not Brian.
Not
Brian
me. I don't draw.
Brian doesn't talk movies well or
I don't do anything well.
watch them well.
You're 3 for 3 with this, with them discovering your gift suggestions.
Does anyone have a key or something they can undo the tape?
I mean, it's the simplest tape job in the
It's
world. I think
not
it's
at all.
connected
That's
to
some
the
box tape.
No, I did mine with one simple peel. And then while you're
Thanks, buddy.
while you're struggling over there,
I really am.
I can get to the next one. That was
Oh, we have multiple.
the PO box. What did Brian get?
Oh, and he's got things
Brian
in it.
Draws Movies. What is it? It's a thank you card.
Yes, the three amigos.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, two amigos.
I guess only 2 of them were
I
on
guess
there.
only two made there. Steve Martin and
Martin Short.
Martin Short. Thank
That
you.
seemed like the most Brian option.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I thought that was for you. Okay.
No.
And then also a listener of the program named Marcus Cutler
I know Marcus.
sent 2 books, and they're called The 3 Canadian Pigs. And it's a take on the 3 little pigs, except it's told Canadian style. And he is the artist who drew all of this work. And this
No
one is
shit.
inscribed to Tessa. And it says,
Aw.
to Tessa, you're sweet as maple syrup. So thank you to our Canadian listener,
There.
Marcus Cutler. He wrote a little note to it. And it's in Atticus's book at home. But essentially, he's been listening since the Orange Couch days. He thanks us for all the movie recommendations and the good times he's had. And he wanted to share some of his work with us. So.
This is fantastic.
All right.
The
that
3
was our
Canadian
little- our
pigs.
little-
I love
our
this.
little
I'm going to
break.
wrap this and pretend it's from me.
Well, I mean, it kind of is.
True.
Kind of is. All right. So number 2 for you there, Brad.
Are we doing a break? We're doing the.
Should we do a break?
Amazon
Are we
reads?
You got the Amazon
I
reads,
gotta
right?
go
We diving
Amazon.
in?
Well, why are you saying, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to do this. You're like, okay, I got
You
nothing.
think I did it between then and now?
I thought you had it. You just hadn't curated
It was misleading.
It was very misleading.
It
Yes,
was.
absolutely.
Okay. Well,
This is
no
a farce.
I guess we'll do it in a couple weeks. All right.
Yep.
Very good.
Number 3, Iron Giant. And number 2 is a film I thought you were going down.
By the
this
way,
road.
bullshit.
Thank you.
There's so many beautiful
I know.
movies shot in Iceland.
Well, number 2 is going to actually make up for that because I don't like this movie. Well, okay, I can't say that. I can say that I saw this on a plane. I may have fallen asleep. I don't remember seeing most of it, but it kept coming up. My research is like films set and shot in Iceland. And I was like, I don't remember that at all. Finally, it came up enough where I was like, all right, fuck, I'll do the research and see the scenes. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's the fucking skateboarding scene. And this movie, despite being incredibly boring, really makes Iceland look beautiful. Like it is a.
I have no idea what movie you're talking about.
I don't know if you saw The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Oh yeah.
Boring.
No, it's
you
it's
like this
actually
movie?
it's. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay.
And I'll
Well,
talk.
all I'll say is directed by Ben Stiller, and yes, it is. No, it takes place in Iceland. I'd completely forgotten.
Brian, you were not. You were jet lagged or something wrong with you.
Why?
Because it's a good movie. There's
Really?
It's one of those movies where there's one scene that makes me fucking hate it, the entire movie. But and it's Sean Penn
It's
related.
the Sean Penn scene.
But it's a remake. I would like to actually see the original. Like the original is from way back when. But there's a lot there to like. And I know what you're talking about, the longboard.
The longboarding scene, the bicycle scene. Iceland looks amazing in this movie, and filming locations include Grundarfjörður, Fjörður.
Is this all one place?
No, Seyðisfjörður. That's the longboarding scene. Hoffen, which is the nuke airport. And Iceland also doubled in this movie. They shot scenes in Iceland to double for Greenland, Afghanistan, and the Himalayas.
Yes, that's the scene, the Himalayan scene that kind of left a terrible taste in my mouth that I can't get past.
He's a photographer.
Yeah,
That's in the trailer, isn't it?
I don't know if the punchline is though, or actually what. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
So and I've bitched about it on this show. Sean Penn plays a photographer who the entire movie is leading up to Walter trying to find this photographer because he can't get a hold of him because he's out in the Himalayas, right? Right? Or Afghan? No, he's in the Himalayas. I think
Well, he doesn't know where he is.
the spotted leopard is what he's the snow leopard is what he's trying to shoot. Sean Penn's character. So he's been. They'll have us believe he's been camping out on this mountainside in just
Uninhabitable.
uninhabitable, but somehow he's surviving for weeks, maybe months, waiting to get a single shot of this elusive snow leopard. And as Lady Luck would have it, right when our titular character shows up,
That's true.
finally finds this Sean Penn character.
Elusive.
That's when he's elusive, much like the snow leopard. That's when the snow leopard not only does it show up, but it crosses the actual frame that Sean Penn has set up. So he doesn't even have to like adjust the tripod or the camera. It's right there and it kind of poses. And then Sean Penn doesn't take the picture. He says, sometimes I just don't want to take the picture. Just want to remember it the way and I just I wanted to just, because it ruined a really good movie. And it was just, it's just everything you hate about Sean Penn and people like him is embodied in that one scene. And it's just so absurd because there's just there's no human being that would ever do that, let alone Sean Penn.
When he's on the company's dime.
There's a lot to like for this movie, and I'm curious how
Stream on
true it is.
HBO Max.
How curious how you've seen it. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I've only seen.
You know that part though.
I know that part.
About? A lot to like there. A lot to like.
Felt like it was 5 hours long.
Kristen Wiig. I think you were jet lagged.
It might have been.
Yeah, there it is. Fucking Sean Penn laughing, looking through his camera. Just so upset. It's just like, you know, that's what I'm talking about. Like with leaps, and I talked about it was a little bit with Barbarian, like where they ask you to just take a fucking crazy leap. Every now and again, I could do that. I'll leap with you all fucking day long. Ghost Story.
You gotta earn it.
Ghost Story. I'll leap with you all fucking day. Let's leap. Let's go. I'd fucking buy that ghost walking around in a sheet. Fucking earned it. I'm not leaping with you off a fucking water tower and surviving, Barbarian. And I'm not leaping with the fucking any character in the world that would have that as their job and then not take their. I understand you were trying to, all right, make a little point, make a little message.
You know what that is? That's the companion scene to Ben Stiller in While We're Young. Let's just not now.
That's just, I was thinking the same
That's the
thing.
companion scene.
But that's good.
Yeah.
And that's believable. I don't have to leap far for like somebody who doesn't want to look something up on the fucking iPhone.
Because I think with the Sean Penn scene, they were trying to make it powerful and poignant. And with the Let's Just Not Know, it was like properly absurd. It's properly funny.
Yeah, exactly. And it works. Yeah, it was just asking way too much of me. And
Tone management.
And I get the sense that that was not Ben Stiller's idea. I get the sense that Sean Penn's like, what if? I could be completely wrong, but I get that sense. All right. I didn't expect that diatribe. You know who wrote that, though?
What's that?
Steve Conrad. Now, if Steve Conrad wrote that fucking section, I'm going to rethink everything I know about Patriot. Patriot might be, I can't even say that. That's like sacrilegious to me. I almost said something so stupid. It's based on a short story. I got to get to the fucking bottom of this, Steve. I knew this, too. I knew that he wrote that. God damn it, son of a bitch.
I'm going to have to see it then.
No, you're not.
You should. You should.
Disagree.
All right. Number two for me.
What was the movie you're actually outraged that he hadn't seen? We talked earlier.
Weird.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, don't fuck Walter Mitty. If you see Walter Mitty for Weird, I'm firing you.
No, you should see Walter Mitty.
Before
Dude,
Weird?
You were on a fucking plane. God knows what format you were watching it on, your phone or some shit, and you were probably, where were you flying in from?
It was a big screen.
A big screen.
Yeah,
on a
I brought
plane.
my big screen. I rejected it.
You're 65 inch.
Brian,
Yes.
where were you flying in from,
Who
and how
knows?
tired
It
were
was
you?
a long flight.
I think, it was probably your second or third movie. You might have been jet like, hey, what are you doing? Stop
It
it.
was a long time ago. That said, if you see this for Weird, I'm fucking firing you.
No, you can absolutely see this before weird.
Well, take it.
Because I want his take.
Take a risk if you dare.
I want his take. You know, the only thing that the two things that I think of, like in the same vein of the absurdity. The other one, Into the Wild.
Okay.
2.5 hours.
Oh, just the whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing.
There's a moment.
But then the end, and like how he has an epiphany, like, oh, life with people is better than life alone. Really?
Well, some people have to figure that out.
Fucking
Wait,
Sean-
where's
Sean
you the
Penn.
one? What were you comparing your life to? Extras or people who are unnamed characters?
What?
You were just comparing your life like I'm the main character and everyone else is an extra.
Oh.
Or, what was
No, I
it?
didn't say that.
Well,
I didn't
I
say it,
forget
but
what you said.
it's just like
I'm the only complex character.
No. Sometimes you walk through life and you feel like everyone's kind of one note. Yeah. Just some days are like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fucking Sean Penn. Into the Wild and the Walter Mitty scene. I just kind of defines what I think of Shawnee.
I'm gonna blow your mind. Into the Wild, shot in Iceland.
It was not.
It's not.
No. It was written and directed by Sean Penny, though. I can tell you that much.
All right, what's your number two?
Number
What
two
was
for me.
that?
That was me being frustrated.
Did you Your lung collapsed.
You're shuddering at Sean Penn.
I was shuddering. That was the sound of shuddering. Number 2 for me is Oblivion. It's obligatory that Oblivion's on the list. Oblivion is a very good movie, a fantastic movie. We covered it back in 2013 when it was released, and it's the stadium scene in particular. The entire movie, for the most part, was shot in Iceland. They had some pickups, I think, over here, out here, like maybe in Tahoe or something. But this is a movie that Mickey worked on entirely. For every Icelandic scene, I believe he was over there in camera crew. I watched a lot of the making of this as well this last week, and it was really interesting watching them set up in the Hrossaborg crater in northeast Iceland. This is one of the ones that we drove right by, but we didn't get a chance to actually go and see it because we were risking life and limb with some of these treacherous. There's so much treacherous driving. My God, you got to be really careful driving over there. And
why? The roads are bad quality?
The roads are good, but like you'll just feel your car just starting to drift. And with the ice, and everyone they don't use tire chains because otherwise the entire country would have tire chains at certain times of the year. And we're there. It's unseasonably warm this time of year. The one we were there, like it shouldn't have been, and it was raining way more than it normally does. But we get into sections where it was just like for 5 hours, nothing but snow and ice on the road. And you could see, oh, dude, I got out of the car once and it was just black ice and I just slipped and I could feel my, Atticus has brought it up like 5 times since that. That was so sad, Daddy, when you were just falling. But it's like one of those things where I'm like, I'm not making this. I'm
going down.
I opened the door, stepped out, and it's just like, oh, I'm falling. But I just did a slow motion, like controlled fall because there's nothing I could do before I got my crampons on. And crampons are little things that you put on your feet that are like, they're like tire chains, but for your shoes, right? They're pretty sweet. Yeah. No, they're not snowshoes. Snowshoes are like they look like tennis rackets. These are like they're like little spikes.
Little spikes, right?
Oh, it's so
almost like those things you aerate your lawn with.
Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah, but not quite as like heavy duty and violent. So you put those on. Jillian and Atticus had them on, and we're just like clamping around and like we're making marks in the ice because it looks like a regular road, but it's just slick as can be. It's like an ice rink. You're on an ice rink. So anyways, Oblivion. So yeah, it was one of those days where we couldn't stop. Unfortunately. If I known that this is where that scene was shot, I would have at the Hrossaborg crater, northeast Iceland. But do you remember the scene where he goes? It's the initial. I think it might be the inciting scene where he goes to get the down drone. Yeah, and it's a football stadium that's all completely like wrecked, and there's just a big. They used it in the trailer quite a lot, and it's got the goalpost that's all kind of akimbo.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what happens. Does he encounter?
He encounters like
things, people,
some stuff. With shots are fired and whatnot. But they digitally enhanced it, obviously, with the decrepit stadium. They made this crater look like a giant, like old football stadium that was falling apart, and it was something to behold. And I was shot. I drove right the fuck by it. God, I would have loved to. It's one of the biggest regrets.
Really?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Hrossaborg crater, northeast Iceland. Yeah. Oblivion. I recommend that Oblivion. Good twist, too. That confused me. I remember discussing it on this pre program, and that's when it kind of came into focus for me. I'm like, oh, which is embarrassing.
It happens.
Go ahead.
You're so taken with Tom Cruise's beautiful face.
It's hard not to be.
Number 1, I assume it's your number 1, too. Maybe not, who knows. But far and away for me is, of course, The Northman. The Northman 2022's this year. So The Northman, directed by Robert Eggers. Is this your number 1? We can talk together.
It is not.
Oh, I'm surprised. Too recent? Because this film is all about Iceland.
It is a lot about Iceland, but there's no particular scene where it's like there's some kind of defining landscape that made me want to put it on the list. Plus, it's a little too recent.
Okay.
I'm shocked.
I love the greenery when they're in that little farm with the assholes.
There's a lot of that.
Where they have the Christian God who puts the men on the trees. That one where they have the dismemberment and he meets Anya Taylor-Joy for the first time.
Right?
I'm sorry to say that a lot of this film.
It was so stark. I love the way it was, that countryside with the black rocks. And
I don't even know if many of, like, I think it showed up in my research, but yeah, I don't think much of it was shot in Iceland.
A lot of it was, but much of the film, I think most, was actually shot in Ireland.
Yeah,
maybe that was Ireland.
But the opening title tells us we're in Iceland with Island. The film is set in 1914 during the early settlement of Iceland, also known as the Landnámsöld, literally age of land taking, before the establishment of the Althing. I don't know if that's a thing or not. IMDb lists iconic Icelandic filming locations such as Svinnafell's.
Sven Diesel.
I was almost there. Svinnafellsjökull. Vatnajökull. Australand.
I need to watch the North Node.
Vesterhorn. Vatnajökull. And Hekla Rangavalsisla.
While I was out of town, while I was gone for those 2 weeks, one day, I saw exactly 3 movie theaters, one of which was open. I was in Copenhagen.
Okay.
The other 2 I saw were in Akiri, far north Iceland, which is, they call it the capital of the north because it's the second biggest city, which is very small.
Really saying something.
And it's got 2 theaters that are really close to each other, and both of them were closed at the time that I walked by them anyways. One of them, though, was showing The Northman. And I have to imagine that it's just been showing The Northman for like the last 12 months. Like it's
That's
just
great.
plays on a loop there. Yeah. All right. The Northman. Yeah.
Okay.
No particular scene, though, or any?
There's a lot of good scenes. I actually couldn't tell which was Iceland and which was Ireland, but I mean, in terms of our research.
Yeah, we're driving across and saying quite often, like, this could be Ireland, like parts of that, the peat moss and like different shades of green in certain spots.
Makes sense.
All right, number 1 for me was kind of far and away was the opening scene in Prometheus, if you recall.
Yes.
That was Iceland?
Yes.
Oh, insane.
Not only was that Iceland, that's a waterfall which is considered the most powerful waterfall in all of Europe. Oh, I was going to tell you in 1914 thereabouts, apparently the population of Iceland was in between 10,000 and 20,000 people. It's crazy that this big landmass, and it wasn't like, North America or most places where Westerners moved in, like there was just nothing there except for Arctic foxes that drifted over on ice floats for like 100 years. There was no one there. There was no there's just no people. Like they just. Anyways, I think like the 1500 and then Algerians were actually coming and pirating and stealing people. There's a crazy history. Anyways, but yeah, Prometheus, the opening scene where that dude, the big white buff
engineer,
he drinks the concoction.
That's right.
That
and it disintegrates.
Does disintegrate, and he goes over those falls. Denifoss. Foss means fall or waterfall. I've saw 2 different. It makes more sense if it just means whatever. We'll say Foss means waterfall. So this is Denifoss, and we wanted to see Denifoss bad, and we were running a little bit late, but we come up to where Denifoss is, and it's like 7 kilometers that way out of our way, but we're like, fuck it, let's do it. And then we get out of the car, and it's another thing where we got to put on the old crampons because it's black ice everywhere, and it's snow and rocky, and it says 1,000 meters. We're like, not bad. And as I'm walking, I'm like thinking, oh no, that's a full kilometer, right? And it is very rocky, snowy conditions. So it's not like just like a straight line or walking around a track. And we're doing it, and then Atticus starts like he only broke down 3 times. This was one of the times. Jillian's like, I just didn't know what to do. Like he just wouldn't move because I went up ahead a little bit. But then we put part of his jacket over his face. And we made the trek, and Denifoss did not disappoint. This is a huge, powerful, crazy waterfall, and they have this overlook that you can stand over, and that's where the dude disintegrated.
Was it reminiscent of the scene?
Oh yeah, you can see exactly where it happened and like where he disintegrated and fell over the falls. And yeah, like I was saying, this is considered the most powerful waterfall in all of Europe. It's Denifoss, and it's one of the easiest ones to remember too, because they got all sorts of fosses over there. Like it's the country is lousy with waterfalls. Fosses, I kept saying that to Jillian. She got very upset. She's like, "Stop with the lousy." But it was to the point where like we'd be driving by and like this is the most magnificent waterfall you've ever seen, and I wouldn't even bother to nudge her and point to it because it was just like we literally saw thousands of just amazing waterfalls.
It's like seeing palm trees out here.
It is like seeing palm trees. It's crazy. It is insane. So the Denifoss, though, is probably the most, not the most spectacular, but the most powerful.
Huh.
For
Cool.
sure. The biggest.
I'm glad you went. That's a deep pull I wouldn't have expected.
Prometheus. I thought for sure it was going to be your number 1 because you love your
well,
Ridley
I don't
Scott.
think in the movie it's set in Iceland. I tried to find ones that were set in Iceland.
Like Iron Giant.
Yeah, Iron Giant.
Yeah, well, it
Well,
says
set
Iceland.
and shot.
Yeah, set and shot.
drawn in Iceland.
I was just looking for scenes that took place in the old Iceland. But Batman Begins also has a scene that's shot in Iceland. It's supposed to be Tibet, but it's actually Iceland that they shot it at. Interstellar. So yeah, Nolan loves it over there. I don't see why he won it. Force Awakens has some stuff.
I was thinking about it. Was the snow scene in Inception over there? Because that's a whole sequence. That's a whole act of the movie.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I don't know.
I'm glad we approached this differently because it made for a good diversity on our lists.
Yes, I always like that when that happens. And we don't have a listener list this week.
We do.
Well, we do.
No.
Thanks to who?
Compiled by the Bitchmer.
Oh, Mitch, you're coming through. Love it.
Coming through. There was a tie for number 5. I don't know if this got cut off. Prometheus/Rams. I don't know what Rams is. There's one part of another parenthesis that was not there.
Yeah, Rams is not a movie.
I don't know, but number 5, Prometheus.
Is it an acronym? Is it all in capitals?
No.
Rams. I don't know Rams.
Number 4, Batman Begins. Number 3, Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Rogue One. And number 1, interestingly enough, Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga.
I never saw.
And then he's got a couple also rans, which is, look at that. Going above and beyond for the Bitchmarns. Dead Snow.
Yeah, a lot of time to kill.
Interstellar. Final member. Noah. Letters from Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
In Oblivion. Is it the actual radar station for Iwo Jima or why?
Yeah, I wonder. I never saw it. I didn't see Flags of Our Fathers or
Iwo Jima was incredible. Flags is kind of
I missed both of those.
Letters was exceptional.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Oh.
I wonder if they used the actual location there at the radar station. I wonder. Huh.
That's so odd.
That is. Yeah, and Dead Snow, I think that's the sequel, though, so I did not. And then Alberta is where they shot Inception. Alberta, Canada. Dead Snow was the red and well, it was the second one, I think. Yeah, Red versus Dead. I didn't see that one. I really like the first Red Snow, though. I mean, Dead Snow. You ever see that Dead Snow?
No.
Pretty good. Pretty good stuff.
Dead no.
All right.
Do we have a semblance of our gambling? Do we know?
I think so.
What's happening? Who won the most recent one?
Because you gambled on Black Panther ages ago.
God.
Black Panther, Wakanda
Ryan,
Forever.
why do you gotta go get sick, huh?
What?
Why you gotta get sick?
I'm sorry, buddy.
So annoying. Why do I have to leave town?
Believe me, if it was my choice, it would not happen.
Anderson gets 91. Brian gets 90.
Ooh, that's good for me.
With 312 reviews, the actual Rotten Tomatoes score is 84%, making Brian the winner.
So we all
The
lose.
menu will be seen by you. Find it.
We all lose.
See it. Enjoy and be enraged by it. And we will tag team the menu. Oh, you're in for a treat.
Am I? Now I'm going to hate the menu.
You're going to hate parts of it. I can't. There's no way around it.
I'm curious. I'm very curious. And honestly, I was trying to find a way to watch the menu. And this is absolutely true. Trying to find a way to watch the menu while I was in Iceland. It was one of the few that I was going to try and watch on my computer, which I hate to do. But I was trying to find a way. Could not find that way. That's why I sit here with you, not knowing what I will hate.
S'mores.
I can tell you this, though. Right now, where I'm from, Copenhagen, where I've been for the last 4 days.
It's very, very early in the morning.
It's 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, my God.
And I'm still awake.
Good morning.
And we have one more episode.
We have one more episode to record.
Good morning.
Can you believe that I'm still awake?
I'm impressed.
I'm not sure how this is happening.
If you can't pull it off, we can skip the next episode.
No, we can't skip. Show must go on.
I must skip.
Do you need to skip?
No, I'm tired.
Tie,
Yeah.
bri.
Yeah.
I'm getting so tired. I'm calling you tie.
You know, I've had a tough couple weeks.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, let's gamble on something. It could be
Yes,
anything
we
in the
are.
next, 2 weeks.
No.
Oh.
We'll be gambling on Emancipation.
That comes out this week?
Yes, it does.
Wow.
Where are they burying this thing?
Well, I wonder.
Perhaps it's not good.
I'm so... it's going to be good.
And the Will Smith
It's gonna be
controversy.
very good. Well, I know. I'm shocked that they didn't push it till next year just to give a little breathing room because, I mean, he's probably going to be up for Best Actor again from what I'm hearing. And
We'll see.
I'm hearing really good things. Remember when we did top 5 people we think will win their first Oscar? And this was I think this was my number 1.
I think it was up there for sure. I think it was a two-hander. You did that and
King Richard.
King Richard.
King Dick.
Did he win for King Richie?
That's what he went for.
I'm joking, bro. All right. Emancy. All right. Oh, okay. Here's the I mean, is this Dead Snow?
Jesus Christ.
You see Dead Snow? I'm watching the trailer for Dead Snow.
Oh,
Pretty goddamn
yeah,
tight.
I remember hearing about this. The
Pretty
Nazi
Goddamn tight.
experiments.
Yes. Gone wrong. But this is the first one. It's not shot in Iceland.
You know, most experiments do go wrong. That's why they're experiments.
It's true. I would say like 99% of all experiments go wrong.
Don't go according to plan at all.
All right, on 3, you ready?
Sure.
I mean, because you have to at least remove a few points just for people who have a certain feeling about Mr. Smith now. You know what I mean?
You telling me where to go?
All right.
All right. Your dog's dripping food literally all over.
Hey, Christy. Your husband's being a dick again about Sydney.
There's food everywhere.
What is wrong with you? She's 150 years old.
She's very old. All right, on 3, you ready?
Don't let Charlie eat it. He's fat enough.
All right, here we go.
I'm serious.
On 3. 1, 2, 86.
82. Oh.
Bri.
We had
You're in
almost the
86?
same score.
What'd you go?
82.
82.
Bri.
We had almost the same score
When's the last time you perused on Rotten Tomatoes?
earlier this episode.
Mm-hmm.
With 47 reviews.
That's it.
Anderson gets 86. Brian 82 with 47 reviews.
It's the Will Smith. He's an escaped slave. That's the premise of the movie.
Sounds hilarious.
Current Rotten Tomato score is 53%.
Brian.
Do you think that I strategically missed it by
Brian?
30 points? I was nowhere near it.
Fuqua is not a good director.
You don't say.
He did Training Day, but since then, he's done nothing that I've enjoyed.
Maybe this will break the streak.
Antoine Fuqua let me down again.
This could have been a back-to-back Oscar win.
Bullet Train, he produced.
Did not direct that.
No. Mm-hmm.
I like Bullet Train. I like it more and more the more I think about it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Which is never. It's all like the same as when I saw it once. All right, you guys, thank you for downloading, for tuning in. Hold on, let me see the listener art. That's not it. This is not far off.
It's pretty good.
That is not far
You
off.
see the listener art?
I did.
That is, shockingly close to what actually happened. Well done. Who was that? Hold on. Jim Rutherford, of course. Jim Rutherford's fantastic. Check that out at AndersonandBrian.com or any of our social media in Anderson and Brian on Instagram, The Film Vault on Facebook, The Film Vault on Twitter. You can find us all over the place. Thanks, Take Today. That's our featured artist, and you can find them at AndersonandBrian.com. Find our Amazon banner, which you have been doing, and we appreciate in my absence. Patreon, good stuff up Patreon. We're going to have some spoiler talk up there soon, I have no doubts. So stick around for that as soon as Anderson sees some goddamn movies. Thank you to all of our Patreon listeners. Thank you especially to Giovanni, Jordan Wolf, Jomo, Jordan Montgomery, Mitch Burns. I guess Jordan Wolf would be Joe and Jomo, Mitch Burns, and of course Mike Cole. Check out Invade the Decade. Avery's got a live date coming up December 13th at the Improv.
Yes, December 13th at the Improv. The show is called Ill Prepared.
All right. And anything else, Anderson?
That's it.
Until next time.
Whatever, Mango.
There's no such